Ladies and gentlemen, family and friends, scholars and dignitaries, welcome to another episode. Welcome to my world. Hello, friends. So, I've had the experience of studying drugs and drug addiction over these many years. I've had the opportunity to study a wide variety of drugs and the effects they all have on the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual arenas of life. And I found out three things. Addiction is by nature one of the worst diseases one can have. It's powerful, very powerful. It affects every element of your being. It is devastating on so many levels, and it's much more common and pronounced in society than anyone can ever imagine. In fact, according to the Center for Addiction Studies at Columbia University, more people suffer from addiction than either cancer, heart disease, or diabetes. Second, as devastating as addiction is, people continue making drugs that are even more devastating, drugs that are more powerful, with both greater potency and lethality than ever before. You see, I remember not the cocaine crisis, but the crack cocaine epidemic. I remember the onslaught of bath salts, pure toxic and noxious chemicals targeting teenagers. I remember the onset of the meth epidemic, the opioid epidemic, the fentanyl epidemic, and all the others in between. And finally, I learned that no matter how much we try to teach about the dangers of drugs, no matter how much we try to both protect our youth and prevent drug abuse, there is always a small population that will try these substances, and unfortunately, the stronger these drugs are, it seems that the more people are lured to their use, even though they are so devastating to a person's quality of life, satisfaction in life, and span of life. But now, we have the pinnacle of drugs, zombie drugs. I first read about zombie drugs in journals about 10 years ago. One of the first was crocodile. It's also known as the walking dead, crocodile and croc. It is the drug that eats junkies. Now, you probably haven't heard about this drug much before because it was largely limited to use in Asia, but eventually it made its way into Europe with only limited use in America. And yes, it is now here in several forms, and yes, it is one of the most dangerous drugs known to man, and again, it is so powerful that once people start using them, they just can't stop. Zombie drugs have a similar effect to heroin, but they are far more addictive and deadly. In fact, with crocodile, users tend to live only 2 or 3 years after addiction. When the drug is injected into the skin, it often causes gangrene, forcing the skin to rot away, and it causes speech problems and erratic muscle movements. One physician treating crocodile users stated, quote, "If you want to kill yourself, using this is the way to do it." Now, I'm certainly not going to give you the ingredients for zombie drugs, but they are made from a number of existing drugs, but they can also be infused with a number of chemicals, including solvents like iodine, lighter fluid, industrial cleaning fluid, paint thinner, gasoline, and yes, even hydrochloric acid. But the zombie drugs today, including the various forms like crocodile, Tranq, sleep cut, Philly dope, and so on, are both processed in a manner which is both highly impure, and also, again, they're contaminated with various toxic and corrosive agents and byproducts. These are some of the strongest drugs of addiction ever synthesized and the most deadly. People can't quit. The side effects are serious and critical. The drug is a neurotoxin that causes brain damage. The drug is named for its scale-like appearance of the skin on its users. It's become notorious for producing severe tissue damage, phlebitis, and gangrene, and developing severe necrotic skin ulcerations, sometimes requiring limb amputation in long-term users. There is often deterioration of internal organs, such as the kidney and liver, and the amount of tissue damage is so high that addicts' life expectancies are said to be as low as 2 to 3 years. After the drug is injected, small lumps begin to appear around the injection site, followed by scaling and discoloration of flesh, red, black, brown, green, gray, and then the skin and tissue begins to rot away and starts to deteriorate and peel off. Continued use can and will eventually lead to amputation of limbs. Oh, and while heroin detoxification can last a week to 10 days, The withdrawal process from this drug is both agonizing and can take a month, and that further undermines any attempts at abstinence and recovery. So now these zombie drugs have hit American streets, and it's wreaking havoc across multiple states in the nation, leading to an increased risk of overdoses and causing symptoms such as rotting skin and extremities. These drugs are not for human consumption, but that doesn't stop people from using them to try to heighten or lengthen euphoric effects. And again, they are so powerful that once you begin, you can't stop. Meanwhile, they continue to eat your flesh and result in both higher levels of overdose and death by overdose and amputation. And one final thing, because these are not narcotics in the pure sense, Narcan or naloxone may not address the overdose issue. In other words, even with this treatment, people who overdose can and still die. In fact, the FDA has said that for this classification of drugs, standard pharmacological opioid use disorder treatment like methadone, buprenorphine, or naltrexone just doesn't work. And now, according to the FDA, you don't even know if the drugs you're taking in general have been adulterated with these zombie drugs. I'm thinking of one teenager who, at a party, took one pill she assumed was a narcotic, and it was laced with zombie drugs, and she overdosed, was unable to be resuscitated, and died. The FDA has found that these zombie drugs are increasingly detected in the illicit drug supply and in drug overdoses, but individuals who use street drugs may not be aware of its presence in their supply, and of course now, many different drugs have been combined with these. So, several months ago, the FDA released a memo warning healthcare professionals to be aware of the special dangers of these zombie drugs, and again, also warning that users may not even know that their drugs contain these adulterants and may present non-traditional symptoms. So every time we start to make some progress in slowing down this horrendous drug epidemic we have, it seems that we are countered with new challenges presented by new cartels who don't care about the health and welfare of people. They only care about the money. Hey, be safe, be well, and please, don't use drugs, any drugs. They simply aren't safe. And may God bless you and your family.